we kid around a lot in this business and we say, hey, it's just landscaping. It's not rocket science. But the truth is, it's pretty damn complicated when it comes down to it, because the larger you get as a company, the more moving parts you have, the more logistics, the more people, the more equipment. This is a team sport, and it takes a lot of craftsmen, a lot of people, a lot of planning just to pull off going out and getting the work done. It's not just about getting the work done. It's about getting ready to get the work done, and it's about getting ready to get the work finished, and then it's about measuring. So it's complicated.
It is. It's complicated, right? And you and I have used this illustration from time to time to try to communicate that in absence of a good process, right? In absence of organizational development, there's going to be this point where the customer explains what they need, and then there's going to be the understanding or lack thereof of the project leader. The engineer is going to attempt to design something, from there. If there's a programmer involved, there's no telling kind of where we end up. We do know that the sales executive will describe it in glowing terms.
That's right.
Although it may or may not be documented in any way. Operations will install based on whatever they got, which
sometimes isn't much.
Isn't much, right? Administration's going to bill based on their best guess about what's going on. All that may ultimately kind of miss what the customer needed in the first place.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
We leave way too much to chance in this industry.
Yeah.
We assume.
Yes, we do.
We assume.
Yes, we assume. So what do you do?
Well, and what we do, obviously, at first, is in order to try to eliminate some of the headaches, is just throw resources at a problem. We can't get the work done, so we need more people, or we can't get the work done, so we need more equipment. So let's just throw some money, some people, some time, some resources at the problem. And the truth is, the way this slide demonstrates is, in the beginning, that input makes a difference and the problems reduce. But over time, unfortunately, that input becomes counterproductive and we begin to get a diminishing return on that investment.
Right.
And by then we've got more people, more equipment, more logistics, more headaches, more confusion, and we're not any better off. In fact, we're worse off.
Yes.
So you can't work your way out of the problems that come along with growing a business. You can't think your way out of the problems. There are certain things you need to do, and it really starts with organizational development and process flow. It's the only way to beat the inverted U or the law of diminishing return is to build processes. And the first place you want to think about how to build processes is, where do you have pain points in your business? Where do you have pain points? Why can't we get the work done on time? Why can't we make money on the work? Why do our customers not like us? Those are all pain points that relate back to a specific piece of the puzzle that we're dealing with every day. So let's identify those places and let's begin to build standard operating processes to solve those problems. And what we've learned over time is there's kind of one place where most of these problems start.
Yeah, and if you build systems, right? If you build systems that are intended to create predictable outcomes, standard operating procedures, SOPs, then ordinary people can achieve extraordinary results within the confines of good systems that are intended to address the problems that emerge in business.
That's a good point. Every company has a system for doing business. Some of them good, some not so good. And a lot of times in the businesses that we work with, there's a system called tribal knowledge, where everybody just passes down information throughout the organization with the intuition that everybody should know what to do. But nothing's documented, and it's very hard to hold people accountable to tribal knowledge.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So one of the things that we've done to organize all the chaos, that goes along with producing good landscape work is we've tried to define how work flows through the company. And one of our theories and one of our philosophies is every company is just a stack of sales, one on top of the other. Whether you're a $1 million company, a $5 million company, or a $1 billion company, you're really just a bunch of sales all stacked on top of each other. And we believe that all the sales in your organization follow a predictable path. And we believe that each sale has 6 main phases. And the path starts with the lead, it goes to the scope development, then to the estimating phase, and then we have to close the work. We have to sell it and get a signature from the customer, and then we hand it off to somebody to produce, our
Right.
production team.
Right.
That's what the work in process stage is.
Right.
And then finally, the closeout stage. How do we close that work out, punch it out, get paid, and measure how we did within the way that sale flowed through the company?
Right.
And what we see in a lot of companies is there's really no recognition that every sale follows the same predictable path. There's no documentation on how that sale flows through the company, and there's too many hands in the pot that are handling all the different phases with no accountability, which really is what creates that complexity or that chaos. What we figured out, if we can take the pieces of the job and load it into the zone or load it into the phase one by one, and then assign accountabilities to the different team members, then we have a much better chance of a predictable, consistent, intentional result on every single job.
And it makes sense, right? If the business is really made up of the stack of sales, then let's define exactly what belongs in each one of those phases, right?
Yes.
So that as the business scales and as it grows, as it matures, everybody, we can communicate clearly how we do business here. Right?
That's right. And we call this system start clean, finish clean, you know, and one of the things that we've learned over time is it's important when you start a business or you're the single operator, you're handling all of these pieces yourself. And there's not a lot of opportunity for communication error when you're talking to yourself every day or when you're involved in every phase.
Right, right.
But the complexity comes when you grow your business and you have multiple crews and you have operations managers and you have estimators and salespeople. You know, then you have to segregate those responsibilities and you have to hold people accountable just to their piece of the puzzle as it goes through. When we look at the process flow in front of us, everything to the left of the sold category is what we call the front of the house.
Right.
And everything to the right, where you have work in process and closeout, is kind of the back of the house. There's no differentiation. They're both very important. But that's where we find the most tension within our organization is between sales and operations. And it's one of the first places that you want to really hone in on your handoff process, because typically the downstream pain is being caused either by something that was inadequate upstream, or more importantly, we just didn't properly deliver the job to production to get the work done.
That's right, because this, as we've thought about this over time, we realize that there's two downstream parties here, right? There's production and there's administration that need to know, well, what was sold, right?
That's right.
So we can produce it right and we can handle it right,
Right.
inside of our organization.
Yeah. You know, once you kind of understand the 6 phases of the job and you can lump your task into the individual phases and you can assign accountabilities, there's really 3 main departments or 3 main specialties that align with each phase. There's admin, there's sales, and there's production or operations. Obviously on the front of the sale, there's more sales and admin. On the back side, there's production and operations. But understanding that everybody plays a role in this job, everybody doesn't have to do everything.
Right.
You just have to do your part when that job comes to your department. And each sale that we have really has 3 main outcomes, 3 main intentional outcomes. Number 1 is extremely satisfied clients.
Right.
Number 2 is that we have a happy set of employees who are proud of the work we've done, that appreciate each other. And number 3, we want to make money on every job. In fact, we want to make the money that we bid the job at. So we want to hit our profit margins. 3 main outcomes on every sale. If we can master one sale from lead to closeout and hit those 3 outcomes, we should be able to stack multiple jobs on top of that and continue to grow our company and leverage our resources.
Right, right. And you've told me before, Ken, about a restaurateur that you know that kind of illustrates this, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I've got a friend that manages a large chain restaurant. They do about $16 million of revenue per year.
One store.
Out of one store. That's a big restaurant. And it's a high-end chain. That's over 400,000 transactions in a year at an average of $40 a piece. On a busy Friday night, they've got 100 people working in that store. They got 50 people in the front of the house, from the time you come in to the hostess stand, to the greeters, the waitresses, the water boys, the bartenders, the front of the store manager. 50 people out there just making sure your experience is going well. In the back of the house, there's another 50 people in the kitchen and behind the scenes making sure that your order is prepared, that it's safe, that the quality is where it needs to be. In fact, at this particular restaurant, they have people that are just tasked with making salads, people that are tasked with making the seafood, people that are tasked with making the meat dishes, the dessert dishes. They are specialized intensely within the kitchen. Everybody in that restaurant, all 100 people, have a job to do, one specific job. When you enter that door, you are the sale. And as you come through that front door, everybody knows what their role is in making sure that you are treated fairly and that they achieve the three main outcomes that they're looking for, which, by the way, is extremely satisfied clients, a proud and happy employee force, and profitable work.
That's right.
Right? So if they can do it with an average of $40 a sale, 400,000 transactions, we should be able to do it in the landscape industry.
We should be able to do it. That's right. And what we encourage people that work with us to do is to develop their own SOPs around each one of these phases so that it's clear what production does per phase, what admin does per phase, what sales does per phase. However, we do believe there's some sort of minimum requirements as you're developing your SOPs, as you're developing your standard operating procedures, that you ought to include in each phase, in the lead phase, scope, development, design phase, estimating phase, sold, work in progress, and closeout phase. Let's just go through these.
Yeah, let's do.